Christine with Where's Watson? Well, it's Pride Week coming up, and it's Indigenous Peoples Month. And we're so excited to be hosting a number of activities to celebrate both Pride Month and Indigenous Peoples Month. I'm very pleased to be joined by some amazing Red River College staff who are here to talk about their excitement about this month, the month of June, and also about some of the activities that they're organizing and hosting for the college. So first with me is Priyanji Mediwake, their Diversity and Inclusion Specialist, Stephanie Wright, our Indigenous Cultural Center Coordinator, and Carla Kematch, our Manager of Truth and Reconciliation and Community Engagement. Welcome to the three of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Pri, let's start with you. It's Pride Week next week, but it's also Pride Month, and usually we would be out celebrating with the big parade and lots of community activities. It's going to look a little different this year, so maybe you can talk about how Red River College is celebrating Pride for our LGBTQ plus community, and also what are the kinds of things that we're talking about at the college relative to celebrating Pride.
Thank you, Christine, for having us and for this opportunity to talk about Pride and Indigenous Peoples Month. Very happy to be here. Maybe I'll talk a little bit about what is Red River College Pride and why do we celebrate, and talk a little bit more then into how these events have changed this year. So Pride Week at Red River is really a chance for us to come together and create awareness and a greater sense of inclusion in our community towards gender and sexual diversity. So Pride is usually celebrated in June to commemorate the 1969 Stonewall riots in New York City, which was a pivotal moment in the modern LGBTQ2+ movement. And Pride celebrations aim to create community, advocacy, allyship, and seek to honor this movement and its history. So it's really important for us at the college to celebrate Pride for these reasons that I just mentioned, but also it's extremely important for us that our spaces are safe and welcoming and inclusive for all of our students and employees. It's important that every individual can celebrate their identities and be their full and authentic selves in our working and learning spaces. So we celebrate Pride to continuously strive for that awareness and safety within our college. How has Pride changed? It has had a large impact because of COVID. Normally, we would be going out and we'd be celebrating Pride by joining community parades and representing our college and walking together as a community. And last year, we had planned to do just that, similar to the years before, but COVID did disrupt those plans. So we knew that was also going to be the case this year. So it was really important for us to plan for virtual celebrations where we can still connect and continue to build that awareness and education. So with that in mind, we have a great schedule of events coming up for Pride Week, which is June 7 to 11, as you mentioned. So first and foremost, I want to talk about an event we have on Monday, June 7 with Jackie Swirsky called Be Yourself. And Jackie is a mother who wanted to create safer and more inclusive spaces for gender diverse or gender creative kids. So it is a story reading on Monday. We encourage all of our staff and students to dial into this event with your kids and with your families if you'd like. And we're also highlighting TwoSpirit Identity throughout next week. So I will pause here and let some of my great coworkers that we've collaborated to speak more about that.
Wonderful. So Stephanie, tell us a little bit about what TwoSpirit Identity is. Sometimes we hear that term, but we may not actually know what that means to our community. So talk a little bit about TwoSpirit Identity and the kinds of activities that you're hosting.
Well, I love using the term two-spirited because now that I have a strong sense of what it is, because it's beautiful. It is really the term you use for the original LGBTQ here in North America. It's always been accepted. There was always room. And when we saw people step out of their typical gender roles, the reaction was not, oh no, the reaction was they're gifted. They have two spirits. They have both the male and the female. And it means that you can walk the line. You can you can pick and choose a little bit of who you are and what you do and what you contribute and what your responsibilities are. And prior to contact, our two-spirited people many times were our storytellers and educators, and they were also sometimes, like in some cultures, called shamans or shamans or medicine people. It's beautiful, and I think that it's really how we're supposed to perceive this. And I personally would love to go back to the term for everyone, Indigenous and non-Indigenous. I think it's beautiful. Yeah, we saw the opportunity between our Indigenous supports and our LGBTQ supports, and it's not a gap, it's an opportunity to reach more and help more and be that much more aware and safe and inclusive. Wonderful.
So tell me about some of the events that we'll be hosting to celebrate Two-Spirit Identity.
Oh, I'm so excited. Our biggest event is on the Thursday from noon to 1:30. We're calling it, the panel event is the Healing and Reclaiming Two-Spirit Identity. Now, if there's any question about, or you want to go deeper and further understand, we have experts such as Lauren Olson, who's a filmmaker. We have Levi Foy from Sunshine House. We have, also known as Prairie Lights. We also have Barbara Bruce from All My Relations Incorporated. We have Dr. Myra Laramie, who's an Indigenous elder. We have Dr. Elaine Murdoch, and we are being moderated by the prestigious Bradley West, who is near and dear to all of us here at Red River, and we're so excited. We also have, because we do acknowledge that as much fun as these events are, they can be painful, and there's a lot of support that we need to offer. Is as much as it's important to offer the education piece, it's also in the TRC's call to action to offer that support to those who need it. So we're having a healing lodge on the Tuesday from noon to 1. If it goes a little longer, that's okay. It takes as long as it takes. And we have the lovely, not elder, knowledge keeper Gail, who is two-spirited, and she is going to come and give us her story. We're going to watch a short film, and we're going to learn from her and share and be able to share and get feedback from somebody whose two-spirit is so powerful. And how do we heal from the patriarchy that has taken away the opportunity for two-spirited, right? And like how do we cut through it, and how do we heal? And she's going to be there and helping us through that, and I'm so grateful.
Oh, that's wonderful, Stephanie. Thank you. Before we move on to Indigenous Peoples Month, Priya, I'm wondering if you can just give us the web address so that if people have more information or want more information about any of the events we've described, where should they go find the information?
Absolutely. So in addition to the events we mentioned, we have other resources that are in the web and a few other events as well. So if you go to Pride 2021 on our RRC website, you will be able to find the full schedule. Kind of building on that acceptance and on healing, we have worked with Adrienne Shum to build a mindfulness meditation video that's also embedded in our website. So please feel free to use that throughout next week and in the future as you might like.
That's great. Thank you. So Carla, it's also Indigenous Peoples Month, and we're very excited to celebrate. I know that there's been some very difficult times recently in the community and across Canada and around the world with the news of the 215 children being found at the Kamloops Residential School. So I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about how we're moving into this month to both celebrate Indigenous Peoples Month, but also come together as a community to support each other and to heal.
For sure. So it was quite traumatic to hear the news about the 215 children found. And as an Indigenous woman who comes from a family from my mom's side and my dad's side who all went to residential school, so all my aunts and all my uncles, they're all residential school survivors. We often heard stories from other survivors and from family members about these unmarked graves that existed at residential schools. And they were there, they were whispered, they were secrets. And now it's all coming out in the open. And they were also documented in the TRC reports. But I think there was a lot of disbelief around it. And so when those children were found, that really brought home the tragedy and the effects of residential school, that the atrocities that occurred, that we heard of, that we read about, they really did occur. So what we did at the college, just because there was so much pain that people were feeling, and they were feeling a sense of powerlessness, that we decided to do something that can empower people, give purpose, and honor those children, and honor the Indigenous people who have gone before us, who walked that path of residential schools, and now who are guiding us, like my mother, for instance, and my family members, right? So traditionally, in my family, when a person passes, we have a fire for 4 days and 4 nights, and it gives an opportunity for family and friends to come together, to gather around the fire, to talk and to share stories and to laugh and
Carla, you just muted yourself.
There we go. So come together, especially when you're grieving. And we thought this would be a good opportunity to do that at the college. We have the medicine grounds, we have sacred fire spaces. And so we came together very quickly and we put a plan in action. We presented it to the senior leadership team and they loved it. And within hours, it was so beautiful. We had departments emailing, calling, what can we do to support? What needs to be done? How can we help? And it was the Red River community coming together in a time of grief and horrific tragedy and disbelief, and lots of tears, like many people coming up to the fire just in tears and not knowing what to do with all of that grief. And so we're helping people move through that grief. So you're welcome. Everybody's welcome to come to the fire, offer tobacco. We'll give you some teachings up there. There's lots of food and water so you can stay hydrated because it's unbelievably hot right now. So it's been so healing. And, you know, as soon as we got that fire going Tuesday morning, we had a pipe ceremony with Elder Miss Yuna. And she opened up the east gate or the east door so that the spirits could come and be with us during these 4 days and help us through this process. And they're letting us know that they're up there, believe me, which is very beautiful and very powerful. But as soon as that fire was lit, there was a sense of just relief that just filled everybody's souls. And it was like, oh, okay, good. We're doing something positive here. We're doing something really healing. So it's been beautiful. And the timing could not be any better because we are moving into June, which is, you know, historically it has been National Indigenous Peoples Day, which is June 21st. But now we have a month. So as Christine said, like, let's make it every day, right?
Exactly.
So historically, there are usually events all over the city. There are powwows and ceremonies that occur. The Odena Circle at the Forks usually has a big event. And again, because of COVID, we've had to move everything online. And we really wanted to do something fun because also Winnipeggers, Manitobans know that we have a lot of festivals, music festivals that we haven't been able to go to. So we decided to have our own Indigenous music festival for June 21st. So we have Billy Joe Green, who's a blues singer who's been with Winnipeg for many years, has won awards. He's an incredible man. He's so giving. We have our own Frank Parks, who's our manager to I don't know what his new position is, but he used to be the manager to transition employment for the School of Indigenous Education. And he has a band. So he's going to have music on there as well. And then
Fantastic.
I could not believe this one. We have opera singer Rhonda Head, who's a First Nation from Ocean, the Opaskwayak Cree Nation. And she's submitted a video for viewing with her singing. She's got a beautiful voice. She travels internationally for her voice and for her singing. So when she agreed to participate, I was so excited. And then we also have Elder Miss Yuna. She's going to be recording a prayer to open up the day, as well as do some medicine picking teachings. So she's going to go into the bush and she's going to show us some plants and tell us the properties and what they're good for. So we're really excited, like our own music festival, which I think is awesome. So that's what we're doing for June 21st. So that'll be rolling out. And yeah, and it'll be available throughout the year. It's going to be on our TRC, my Truth and Reconciliation staff forum page, where all of our resources are always there. So staff can always download whenever they want to and use them for their class purposes, or if students want to download as well, they can. Of course, they're going to be promoted through our Facebook page, and we've got our multimedia, social media that's going to go out. So it's gonna be great. It's going to be a lot of fun. So some negatives that have turned into some beautiful positives of bringing the college together and then celebrating Indigenous peoples. So
That's so great.
yeah.
We were up at the Sacred Fire just before this interview, and the three of us heard a student come up and say, I'm Métis and I don't know anything about my Indigenous history or culture, and I really want to learn. Where do I start? And so I think that's an amazing example of how when community comes together and when these opportunities open up, that we have our students who are also then exposed to, some for the first time, their own community and identity and families, which is a beautiful gift, not only for the community, but for the students themselves. So I think that's just one example of the wonderful things that can happen when you open up a space. And I know that the space is for grieving and for healing and for contemplation and reflection. And it is also a place of connection and exploration, and and a journey to a new beginning, at least for that student. So thank you to all of you for the work that you do to make these spaces safe, to make our college, you raise awareness in our college. It's all of our responsibility to make sure that everybody feels that they have a place, that they matter, that their gifts and talents are valued. And no matter what identity you show up with, no matter what identity you discover, you are a part of the Red River College family, always and forever. So thank you very much for all of the work you're doing to make June such an exciting month of celebration and also of reflection. So all the best. I can't wait to join you in the event. And thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Christine.
Thank you for having us.
Take care.
You too.
Okay.